이 높은 곳 위에 이 큰 십자가를
Our President Manuel Quezon sarcastic actually said how American typically wish over the fate of the distant cousin while a daughter is being raped on the back door. You just imagine we're gonna help the Europe first before back to Pacific. So 120,000 soldiers of MacArthur withdrew to Bataan to save Manila. To have the war plan of MacArthur. The war plan is the aim is to withdraw to Bataan and wait for reinforcement and wait the enemy. But no reinforcement came. So just imagine to save the destructions of Manila, we're gonna save something there. As the American call it a model city, no. The Japanese call it a American city. That's why the Japanese bombed Manila. President Manuel Quezon forgot to wear our costume Barong Tagalog anymore. He wear our American at suit. So just imagine to save the destruction, the Japanese keep on bombing, but MacArthur declared open city in December 26, 1941. But the American said it's not open city, it's open for fire, open for bombing, open for Mitsubishi, open for zero, and open for death. Open for destruction. And we have this only one university to protect. The UST is 10 years older than the Harvard University of America. 1611. The Harvard is 1621. That's why MacArthur chose Bataan. So actually my first spiel is to give you a three why actually. Why Philippines? Why Bataan and why Mount Samat? To complete the tour. So why the Japanese want to conquer our land, the Philippine soil? So we have a big deposit of chromite in Zambales. So if they're gonna have this chromite you can add to other iron or metal, it's turned into a stainless steel. So they want this steel to do the armaments for the artillery, especially for the tanks, artillery and the plane, everything that made into a stainless steel. And in that time, we have 17 million population of the Philippines. So we're gonna force them as a forced labor. Oh, it's shrapnel. I said, who is shrapnel? Meaning, it's the name. Oh, the name of invented the artillery in 1787. The name of Major General Henry Shrapnel of the British Army. So it's the name of that. So if you hit the cast iron like this, because you won't or kill or die because of the shrapnel, hit by the shrapnel of name to Major General Henry Shrapnel.
So the British is at fault.
Yes, this is that. So all of this because of actually the fuse of the bomb that drops by the Japanese. Yards by yards. So MacArthur withdrew to Bataan. He have this actually a one definition in the three kinds of words. He actually have something to moving back, to retreat, everything. Just imagine a shorts, the rifle they give to the Filipino, issued by the American. My grandfather called it a teka-teka rifle. Meaning, wait a minute, I will put some bullet first. Only Pampanga, you can drive by going to the NLEX or Isitex, but you cannot see the Bataan. That's why it's the plan of the MacArthur as the war plan. Call it actually, there's a slogan there before. In 1935, there is an old lady selling product here. They call it Bataan Matamis.
The tobacco.
Yeah, the tobacco. It's no longer matamis or sweet because when MacArthur withdrew, bitter. You just imagine it's turned to a battlefield. Bataan was chosen as an ultimate battlefield because of the terrain, the jungle, and shoreline. So MacArthur decided to fight to this 78,000 only Japanese. The American is 120 with the Filipino. Why we lose the battle? Because the Japanese are already actually have something to fight. They are actually a complete, a uniform, the armaments, everything. Just like Yamashita did in Singapore. The Singapore already surrendered in February 1942, but Bataan not yet, still fighting. The forces of Yamashita there is only 30,000 Japanese forces against to the British Army, and Malay and Singaporean is almost 110. But Yamashita won the battle and surrendered the Singapore. And then MacArthur do also what is the war plan. The first line of defense is behind that mountain, the Mount Natin, the very huge mountain and a very historic mountain. According to the American, is one of they fought like a lion. You just imagine they remove their uniform like this and transform it with their G-string, with the bahag, with the culture of the Baguio. Transform. Just imagine they're gonna have this a night crawler. They grab something for the enemy to eat or something, because at that time a single meal a day in the month of February to March. That's why the British Prime Minister Winston Churchill giving a boss moral to the Filipino that the Filipino soldier is the bravest warrior in the world. Thank you, Prime Minister, but we need food. We don't need the boss moral, we need the food. Also the President, FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, I salute the Filipino soldier for holding the magnificent tradition of the free democracy. Thank you, President, but we need ammunition and food. We cannot march and fight with empty stomach. That's why to complete all these kinds of battle, they want this Mount Samat. The Mount Samat, it's only in the Philippines. You can see clearly the rising and setting of the sun, and no other place in the country has that distinction. That's why it was chosen as a division observation point under the command of General Vicente Lim. You can see it. I saw it in your pocket. It's in 1,000 kb. The general who beheaded by the Japanese in Fort Santiago in December 31, 1945. So Vicente Lim, I can show you, sir. Okay, do you have that money there? No, you don't have 1K bill, sir. So the 1K bill we use actually in the banknote of the Banco Central. We're gonna have something there that the three images there by executing by the Japanese. Jose Abad Santos, firing squad, Skoda, beheaded also. Thank you, Father. So these three kinds of images actually have been in the 1K bill note. Chief Justice Jose Abad Santos is from Pampanga. It's in Guago, Pampanga. Actually, firing squad, executed by punishment by the Japanese in Lanao del Norte, in the witness of his 12 years old son. You just imagine, firing squad, witnessed by a boy. And then Josepa Yanes Escuda, founders of Girl Scout and DSWD. And this one is General Vicente Lim, the first Filipino-Chinese who graduate in West Point and command the commanding general of 41st Division. Is my uniform issued to them, a denim, meaning a low quality uniform. Also, instead of khaki uniform, they're using denim, they're using shorts. So Vicente Lim, actually it's almost 8,000 armies, because the 41st is actually inducted 8,000 because of from Pampanga, Bulacan, Cavite, Mindoro, Palawan, Cavite is the in Rizal is the 41st Division. The 51st is in Bicol, the 61st is in Panay, the 71st is in Cebu, etc., etc. So all walks of life came here to fight. Incendiary bomb. It's turned to inferno. So just imagine, burn all of these kinds of trees here. Dead and living soldier died actually. They can retreat to Limay and another the last dates. And then April 3, Good Friday, Mount Samat collapsed. And then April 9, Bataan fell. And the Bataan fell because of the demoralization of the Filipino, because of the continuous bombing of Bataan Peninsula. General Edward Foster King Jr. raised their hands to stop the bloodshed and force them to death march. Okay, our next topic to the death march is in the colonnade area into the museum. So we're gonna take a roaming around here. I will show you something. instead of we going back, down to the exit area for the bloodstone. The bloodstone is the stained blood of the Japanese came from Corridor Island. When MacArthur retake the island of Corridor in March 2nd, 1945, the Japanese taking harakiri for honor of themselves, not to fight. For honor of the the Bushido way. For honor for the emperor. That's why they always shouting Bansai. Bansai is Tenohe ka Bansai meanings long live the emperor for 10,000 ages more. That's it. I will die for the emperor. I will die for Japan. Because the war I have here is just like a holy war. So they gonna take a suicide. They call it a seppuku, cutting the abdomen from left to right and up and down. So they do this actually. If you don't have the nambu, you don't have the grenade, they gonna pull the pin, put in to the helmet and then put it to the chest and banzai, kaboom. That's it. But you don't have grenade, you don't have nabu, you don't have the katana. They jump to the cliff in in the corridor. Same as they do in Mount Tapusao in Saipan and in Okinawa, Japan also. Okay, we're gonna a little go to the living room. The depictions of the World War I to World War II from Spanish era to American era to Japanese era. So this is Rizal, Dr. Jose Rizal. Did you know that, sir, ma'am? Yes. That this cross is aligned to the Dr. Jose Rizal monument in Rizal Park. Okay, the same as just a Filipino, is a copycat. Gaya po tumaya. Yes, they always do that. The same in Washington D.C. The alignment of the D.C. and the Abraham Lincoln and the pointer. So this one is cross, the flagpole at the colony, and the other side aligned to Dr. Jose Rizal. May tokayo. 42. The stained blood of the Japanese came from Corridor Island. You must visit also the corridor. It's continue your historic tour next time. Yes, next time, sir. You can see the Malinta Tunnel, the Bangkok Tunnel there.
블러드스톤. 여기 있답니다. 옛날에 그 일본 군인들이 그 활복하고 죽었다 보니까 이 돌에서 그 뭐 전쟁 가슴 아파하면 죽은 게 아니고 뭐 일본의 영광을 위하여 이렇게 죽은 것 굉장히 잔인했다고 합니다.
We tackle up about the death march. So how far this Filipino American walked and this a very gloomy day into the Philippines is the surrender of the Filipino American. About the 120,000, just can here. I can show you the map here. 120,000 soldiers of MacArthur, 78,000 left in the battle. And that 78,000, 60,500 forced them to march. That's the death march. And 54,400 managed to reach the Kapastana concentration camp, or what they call Camp O'Donnell, or renamed by the Japanese concentration camp of Kapas. And 31,000 died in the death march. 25,000 Filipino and 6,000 American. So this is the route of the death march. Mariveles is the start of the death march. Mariveles, Bataan. It's a huge group here, almost 60,000 walk in here. And another kilometer death march is in Bagak. And then meet in Pilar. That's why in Pilar, the municipal Pilar, there's a flaming sword. It's the meeting point and the merging point of the death march. Came from Bagak and Mariveles. Balanga is the first stop of the death march, but Filipino didn't sleep. Because the Japanese will kill them. So the American sleep and then Japanese killed. So many Americans died in the plaza of Balanga because of this Japanese they do. To lessen actually the death marcher. To lessen this thousands of American in the march. So in here, there's a trope says, the English fight for their king, the Japanese fight for the emperor, the American fight for souvenir. Why they always do this in their war? Why they have to have some souvenir on an item to the enemy and show to your friends if you're going home? So actually, this is what kind of they do is they call it the trophy of war. It's a trophy of war, but it's a mistaken when it's a World War II second in the Philippines, when they gonna round it up and start the march. It's not by thousand, it's by hundreds. So that the Japanese guard, Japanese 6 guard, gonna guarded them, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, and 2 at the middle. So no one can escape. So before you start, they gonna actually search in your bag, in your pocket, for some items do you have as a Japanese souvenir. So they gonna imagine they kill you outright. Kaboom, by Nambu at your back. So that's it. Many American also died in Maribebas before they started the death march. In here, because they won in the Battle of the Pockets, the Japanese officer said, I'm sorry, you won in the Battle of the Pockets, you killed many of our friends. Remove all your shoes and walk going to San Fernando. You just imagine they do this barefootly. So all in all, you have this first going to Orani. The Orani is near in Hermosa. Is the first site that actually given the food of rice, only a bowl of rice. But our interview said, no, it's a poured rice. Then we don't have these utensils. We don't have this actually spoon or something. We don't have the helmet to fill up the food there, the poured rice to eat. No, we don't have anything. They eat in the bare hands with a hot poured rice. So they do this like this. So this, to recap of the Battle of Bataan, the first line of defense, the first town of Bataan that has no waterfront, it's the Dinalupihan. Second line of defense, the Abukay Morong line. The Japanese actually have this huge gaps here, that's why they entered here. They fired Mount Samat, 907 tons a day. This is Mount Samat, a little mountain here. The horseshoe formation is the Battle of the Pockets and the Battle of the Points. So all in all, the types of battle happening here is the Warpan Onyx Tree of MacArthur. So just imagine the Bataan Peninsula was surrounded by enemy, not at the front and also at the west coast, at the back. So no one actually escaped, only Corregidor is the last fortress. The Japanese count another 27 days to capture and actually surrender the Corregidor Island, May 6, 1942.